Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here once again, and today I'll have a brand new Warlock build, Solar 3.0 in Destiny 2 Season of the Haunted. I am very excited about this. I've been using it a ton. I want to show it off. Here it goes. It is going to be on the Well of Radiance, rocking Healing Rift, or you can throw Empowering down. It doesn't matter there. Burst Glide is just what I'm comfortable with. I love the snap. I'm really enjoying that in PvE. It kills enemies pretty quickly and it spreads Scorch quite a bit. And then we also got the solar grenades. You're going to see why in a second. From there, we've got Touch of Flame, which is going to increase the linger duration and periodically emits blobs of lava around this perimeter for the solar grenade. This is huge. And then we've got Heat Rises, which is not huge, but obviously is going to help out if you need to jump around and use that Heat Rises mode. Now we've got Ember of Blistering. Defeat targets with solar ignitions, grants grenade energy. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and your nearby allies radiant, which happens quite often. Obviously, if you're going to use Sun Bracers, which is the key to this build, it's going to come in handy. It's going to work really well with some other things we have with this build as well. Ember of Singeing. Class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. Basically, this whole thing is built around getting your abilities back as fast as possible. You apply more scorch damage to stacks to targets and with Ember of Ashes as well. Now, Monte Carlo I'm running because I want my melee back as often as possible. This is absolutely huge and I think underrated for a lot of people. Retrace Path. This is my favorite trace rifle in the game right now. I've got Subsistence and also Golden Tricorn. Final blows with this weapon grant bonus damage. While this buff is active, grenade or melee kills of the same damage type greatly increases damage and duration. So you can use your melee, you can use your grenades when you have this gun out after you've gotten a kill, and it'll absolutely go crazy. Then we've got Ascendancy. I've been using that. You can use Cataclysmic. You can use another solar weapon if you want to. You can change up the heavy. It doesn't really matter. This is just for DPS and that kind of stuff. But Sun Bracers is what this is built around. Obviously, solar grenades burn longer. Melee kills restore them. If you didn't know, it increases the duration of solar grenades. Solar melee kills grant unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time. This is so much fun. The best ad clear that I've ever used on the Warlock and my favorite thing. So we're going to really spec into getting our abilities back quickly. So we've got Dynamo, reduce super cooldown. We're using our class ability. We're using our class ability a lot. Obviously, we've got the Fragment that also helps get your class ability back as well. Tracer, Rifle Ammo Finder, so you always have a lot of that. And then we're going to move here. We've got Fastball. This is going to help toss those grenade out. Overload rounds. I was using this for the Nightmare activity on the Leviathan, so there is a unstoppable or overload champion there, so that's the reason I had that on for the AR. Then we've got some resistances, concussive dampener, and all that kind of stuff. Also, we've got double absolution, and finally we are going to rock solar molten overload for solar grenades to cause disruption again. We've got distribution to reduce all ability cooldowns when using a class ability. So I'm using my class ability pretty frequently in the middle of enemies. That's why I like the Healing Rift, because I can kind of tank some damage and stay in the fight as long as possible while I'm surrounded. So we're going to show off some Gambit gameplay now, and the reason that I wanted to play Gambit is because there are a lot of builds in this game that require you to obviously have champion mods, all that stuff, but there's also a lot of builds that don't really deal with harder to kill enemies, and that's one of the things I really love about this. Is not only does it kill the weak adds, but also there's a lot of tougher enemies in Gambit that you'll be fighting, a lot of yellow bars with a lot of health, and you're really able to do a lot of damage. You're also able to do this in a variety of different ways. Even though you've got an AR and a trace rifle, you can take out invaders if you need to. You can farm enemies with this build. It's useful everywhere. Now, you don't need to just use this in Gambit, but that's why I'm showing off the Gambit gameplay personally, because I just feel like it really encapsulates why this build is so much fun. You can use this everywhere and anywhere. Strikes, you can use this in Nightfalls, probably tinker with it a little bit going into Grandmasters if you're planning to do that, but you could use it in Gambit. I've used it in PvP, just anywhere and everywhere that I could possibly think to use this build. It is viable, besides maybe, like I said, Grandmasters. Now, I will be taking this into the dungeon this weekend and seeing just how well it stacks up against other builds that I've used in the dungeon. I'm also going to be running a Titan Solar build in there. And I'm really hopeful that we'll have some times where I'll be able to clear a lot of ads and see how it performs and how it stacks up against other builds that I've used, how it stacks up against Void 3.0 and Stasis, because Arc 3.0 or Arc 3.0 is not out yet. Arc is definitely falling behind, especially on the Warlock. It just feels so inferior now that we haven't gotten an update for that. So next season is going to be great, and hopefully when everything is kind of evened out, the playing field is level, and we're able to see all of the different subclasses shine. And obviously every season is going to have its own mods, so I don't have all of them unlocked yet, but I would also use something like maybe Classy Restoration, but more likely I'd be using Raise of Precision, because you can get precision blows with your retraced path, right? So you have Golden Tricorn, you'll have the Radiant buff as well for that. You can toss down your well, so that's more bonus damage, as well as making those enemies explode. So that could be a viable option. And then Solar Exotic Final Blow. So if you use something else, maybe this will work in handy. This looks like it'd be good for like Sunshot. Or your ignitions do increase damage and increase radius. This is another possibility. So there's lots of options for additional mods to use within the artifact that I think a lot of people will be ready to test out in the future. But until we mix and match a little bit more, it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out. There have been some talk about maybe Solar 3.0 not being as good as Void 3.0. Maybe it's not as strong. I disagree. I think the build variety is just different, whereas Void 3.0 had clear-cut things that are head and shoulders above the rest, right? The invisibility build for the Hunter, the defensive builds for the Titan, you've got the Warlock Devour builds. Like, everyone had their niche of what was the best build to run with, and there wasn't a lot of variety. I'm really hoping that with Solar 3.0, it looks like there's going to be a lot more variety, and that would be awesome. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. My name is JoPaWrites. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I throw out loads of Destiny 2 content on the regular. And also, comment down below, will you be using this build? If not, what build, what weapons from exotics or exotic weapons, exotic armors I might be sleeping on that you'd love to see me try to incorporate into a build in the future. If I use your weapon, I will shout you out in that video. If I use your armor, I will shout you out as well. So definitely do that for me. My name is JoPaWrites. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.
Your invader's back with one kill.